Have you ever wondered if evil had a beginning? Was there a time before corruption took hold, before the Great Descent, when the Almighty could have spoken words that altered destiny? This is the hidden account of that dialogue, the encounter that sent shockwaves through the celestial realm and transformed existence itself forever. If exploring profound scriptural insights like this resonates with you, show your support with a like and join Bible Root Stories. We're creating a space for believers who want to go beyond surface-level reading, discovering the narratives that revolutionize our understanding of God's message. Long before our universe came into being, before the first tick of time's clock, the heavenly realm existed in absolute perfection. Everything functioned in seamless unity. Radiance, melodies, the very act of creation, all moved as one in magnificent synchronization. Among the innumerable celestial beings stood one whose brilliance eclipsed all others. He was called Lucifer, the bearer of dawn's first light. His appearance transcended mere attractiveness. His splendor defied description. His intelligence surpassed comprehension, radiating with an illumination that flowed directly from the divine presence. This wasn't an ordinary messenger of God. He ranked as the supreme cherub, the guardian of holy secrets, adorned with gemstones of every kind. His slightest gesture caused all of heaven to take notice. The symphony of existence would rise and fall in harmony with his utterances. Within that flawless tranquility, the Creator regarded Lucifer with affection and approval. Yet even in such a paradise, danger can lurk beneath magnificence, something not yet manifested but lying dormant. Lucifer frequently positioned himself near the Creator's seat of authority, in a realm beyond mortal vision, where even angelic beings approached with reverence. There, in the calm before time's beginning, the Almighty addressed him personally. "Lucifer," came the voice that ignited suns with its power, "you are the one who carries illumination, the reflection of my majesty. Through your presence, heaven witnesses my magnificence. Through your existence, my celestial servants comprehend my understanding." Lucifer knelt, radiant and silent, as divine presence permeated all things. Then the Creator's words continued, his tone as gentle as infinity itself. "Never forget this truth. The radiance dwelling within you is not your possession. You are merely the vessel, never the fountain." A moment of absolute stillness swept through heaven. Even the celestial beings whose worship never ceased came to a pause. Lucifer's gaze, brimming with luminous pride and amazement, lifted toward the throne. "My Lord," his voice rang out like purest glass, "all that I am flows from you. My brilliance is yours. My melody is yours." But somewhere in his depths, something began to transform. A notion, faint as breath, started to form. If my reflection of his splendor is so perfect, doesn't that elevate me to equal glory? The Creator, who perceives every thought before its conception, sensed that whisper taking hold. Yet he didn't annihilate Lucifer in that instant. He didn't govern through intimidation. Instead, he responded with compassion, a final caution that would reverberate through all ages. "Lucifer," spoke the Eternal One, "you stand nearest to my radiance. But hear me well. The nearer one approaches illumination, the deeper their shadow extends. Should your heart ever attempt to possess what is mine, your light will betray you. The very brightness that elevates you will transform into the flames that consume you." Lucifer absorbed the warning, yet its true significance eluded him. In his mind, pride hadn't yet emerged, not as defiance, merely as awe. He saw only his own image shining flawlessly in the Creator's glow. Through the eons that came after, the Almighty laid the foundation for all existence. Celestial fires burst into being, cosmic systems took shape, and time started its perpetual journey. Among the heavenly host, Lucifer's radiance appeared to intensify even further. He received authority over harmonies, over wisdom, over commanding legions of celestial warriors. The dawn star had become heaven's embodiment of splendor. Yet with each anthem he raised, a fresh ambition took root. Subtle, quiet, patient. It wasn't loathing, it wasn't anger, it was an aching to transcend, to be recognized not merely as a mirror, but as an originator in his own capacity. This thought plagued him. Throughout times of adoration, when countless beings prostrated themselves before the divine throne, Lucifer started experiencing something unfamiliar. His spirit expanded not with dedication, but with the intoxication of being revered. When celestial beings gazed upon him, their worship blazed more intensely than solar fire. Then came another day when he approached the throne once more. This time, heaven felt altered, hushed, waited, as though the cosmos were holding their collective breath. The Creator looked upon Lucifer and uttered words carrying both tenderness and grief. "Lucifer, you were the first witness to my magnificence, the most radiant of all my works. Yet I perceive a tempest gathering within you. Don't allow your spirit to be deceived by what it sees reflected back. You are cherished beyond measure, but you are not the divine." His expression remained composed, but internally that whisper intensified. "Why shouldn't I be elevated?" he contemplated. "Why must I submit eternally when I was fashioned to radiate?" But he kept these thoughts unspoken. Not yet. And the Creator, in his boundless grace, spoke one more time, not as sovereign, but as parent. "A day will arrive when I fashion beings bearing my likeness. They'll rank below angels, yet they'll carry my essence. They'll journey through realms of substance and temporality. Through them, my love will be made known. You, Lucifer, must shepherd them, not dominate them. You must attend, not command. Are you capable of this?" Lucifer paused. Serve them? Become a protector for creatures formed from earth? To his pride, the notion seemed intolerable. He bowed, yet his silence communicated what his mouth refused to say. The Creator saw everything. With a voice that made heaven's foundations quake, he declared, "True greatness lies not in commanding, it resides in yielding. Remember, my child, pride never emerged from illumination, but from the darkness that loses sight of light's origin." The declaration pierced Lucifer's core like opposite extremes of temperature. For the first time, the morning star experienced inner turmoil, a division between the radiance he bore and the will that sought to claim ownership of it. As he withdrew from the throne, heaven's music resumed, yet something within him had been irreversibly altered. The roots of resistance had been planted. And though no celestial being yet realized it, the most brilliant light in heaven had started its plunge into darkness. He continued to sing, but the change had occurred. The harmonies that once delivered perfect serenity now held a subtle discord, like a single note barely out of tune. None could identify its source. Only one heart sensed it intensifying, the heart of the dawn star. Lucifer positioned himself upon heaven's loftiest clouds, where golden radiance touched the unbounded expanse. His wings gleamed like living flames. His eyes mirrored eternal luminosity. Yet the inner peace he once possessed was slipping away. Questions blazed within. Why must my devotion be perpetual? Why must each song conclude with his name rather than mine? He gazed at his reflection in the streams of light coursing beneath heaven's portals, his features imperfection, brilliant, and crowned with divine magnificence. He had directed choirs that stirred all of heaven, commanded armies protecting the throne, possessed unparalleled wisdom. In his assessment, no greater work existed. Yet the Creator had mentioned something forthcoming, a realm, a race of clay, fragile and finite, who would bear his likeness. He couldn't understand. How could beings constructed from dust entitled divine affection? How could they be named the Creator's offspring when angels had attended him through countless ages? These thoughts, initially minor, began to dominate his consciousness. He moved through heaven's chambers, observing angels rehearsing their praise. Gabriel's voice ascended in devotion. Michael's might radiated with humility. Every celestial being offered glory not to their own nature, but to their Maker. It was magnificent, perfect, and holy. But to Lucifer, it increasingly resembled bondage. So the morning star isolated himself. He ceased performing. He abandoned the grand assemblies before the throne. Others noticed, but no one dared to confront him. Who would challenge the most magnificent of divine creations? In the isolation of his luminous palace, Lucifer began composing music unlike any before. Compositions not of adoration, but of self. Notes celebrating beauty, intellect, and autonomy. The sound was unprecedented in heaven. It was captivating, spellbinding, and perilous. Some angels detected it from afar. Attracted by the melody, they approached to listen. They sensed potency in it, a pride that awakened something in their spirits they'd never experienced. Lucifer's expression softened. "Don't you sense it?" he spoke gently. "The magnificence of our nature? We who guide the stars, who bear the light itself, are we not deserving of more than perpetual servitude?" The angels wavered. His words were elegant, his manner genuine. There was no overt rebellion, no resistance, only inquiries. Inquiries that seemed reasonable. And thus the murmur proliferated. Lucifer's sway expanded like twilight's shadow, gradually, beautifully, nearly invisible. He spoke not of conflict, but of liberation. Not of animosity, but of illumination. He termed it awakening. Meanwhile, before the throne, the Creator observed. He didn't strike. He didn't silence. Because even in heaven, choice held significance. Then arrived a day when all of heaven assembled together. The throne blazed with radiance, and the Almighty's voice permeated the realms. "Creation shall commence," the Eternal declared. "A world shall emerge from nothingness. Its atmosphere, its waters, and its breathing creatures will bear my breath. To them I'll grant choice, the identical gift I bestowed upon you. Through their love my glory will be fulfilled." The angels bowed in celebration. All except one. Lucifer remained motionless, his eyes burning not with reverence, but with something fresh, bitterness. When the gathering concluded, he returned to his dwelling, his wings quivering. "They'll adore him," he whispered. "Yet they'll never behold him. They'll worship through belief, while I've witnessed his countenance, heard his voice, and still I must kneel." He turned toward heaven's gates, gazing into the emptiness where earth would someday emerge. "If love is his supreme law," he said softly, "then perhaps I can cherish myself sufficiently to be liberated." That night, the stars grew dim. In heaven's most secluded chambers, Lucifer assembled the angels who had started following him, not in rebellion, but in admiration. They were captivated by his magnificence, his wisdom, his fervor. "My brothers," he said, his voice steady and calming, "we've attended without inquiry. We've sung his praises since before time's dawn. Yet now he fashions creatures of earth and names them his children. Are we not more divine? Should we not participate in his throne?" The angels whispered among themselves. Some lowered their heads in bewilderment. Others nodded, their eyes reflecting Lucifer's illumination. He advanced, his wings spreading like an approaching storm. "I don't seek his replacement," he said. "I merely seek elevation, to claim what we've merited. If I bear his light, why must I exist in his shadow?" The words were both nectar and venom. And then, for the first time, he experienced something unprecedented. Isolation. The warmth of divine presence that once filled him started to recede. His light wavered, not diminished, but twisted. He sensed power, but it no longer descended from above. It emerged from within, a peculiar, intoxicating force that whispered, "You require no master." In that instant, the Creator spoke, not audibly, not through tempest or blaze, but straight into Lucifer's spirit. "Lucifer," the voice said, "you've started to love the reflection above the source. You've made yourself your own deity. Don't you perceive what you're becoming?" Lucifer looked toward the throne, tears of light gathering in his eyes. "I only desire what's just," he said. "I only desire to be free." And the Creator responded, "Freedom divorced from love becomes pride, and pride separated from truth becomes death. I gave you light to distribute, not to idolize. I created you to attend, not to reign. Return before your magnificence becomes your curse." But Lucifer couldn't. The voice of his own pride had grown more commanding than the voice of his Creator. When divine presence withdrew, the silence that remained was profound, sacred, and mournful. Lucifer collapsed to his knees, trembling, but not in repentance. The first tears of heaven descended upon eternity's floor, not from anguish, but from defiance. As they struck the golden crystal beneath him, a faint tremor rippled through heaven's foundation. The harmony that had once been impeccable now carried the sound of dissonance. Lucifer arose slowly, his wings extending wide, his eyes no longer reflecting heaven's light. They burned with his own. "Then let it be," he whispered. "If I cannot ascend by his will, I will ascend by mine." The stars flickered, the light wavered, and in that stillness, heaven held its breath. The morning star had begun to fall, not from heaven yet, but from grace. Heaven shook. What started as whispers had escalated into thunder. The song of creation, once impeccable and eternal, now carried the echo of defiance. At its center stood the morning star, no longer shining with divine harmony, but ablaze with his own fire. Lucifer moved through the magnificent halls of heaven, his footsteps soundless, his wings unfurling like gathering tempest. Around him stood the angels who had aligned with him, not from hatred of the divine, but from devotion to him. Their alliance was misplaced, but formidable. He regarded them and declared, "Brothers, we were formed from radiance, not from shackles. Why must heaven be the domain of one alone? The Almighty has granted us might, yet withholds the throne. If we were formed in his likeness, then are we not qualified to reign alongside him?" The host of angels murmured in wonder. The intensity of his presence was mesmerizing. His words stirred something profound within them, a longing they'd never known before. And then the heavens parted with light. Michael descended, his armor brilliant like molten gold, his expression composed but sorrowful. Behind him stood legions of angels faithful to the throne, their wings radiant with purity. "Lucifer," Michael said, his voice steady, "you stand on holy ground and utter words that have no place in heaven. Cease this before it annihilates you." Lucifer turned, smiling faintly. "Annihilate me? No, brother. It will liberate me. You attend without question. You bow without contemplation. But I perceive what you cannot, a reality that even the Creator fears." "There is no reality beyond his will," Michael countered.
Lucifer stepped nearer. "Then his will is a prison." For an extended moment, the two brothers faced one another. Light against light. Purpose against pride. All of heaven fell silent, anticipating what would transpire next. Then the voice of the Almighty filled the realm. It wasn't thunder, wasn't fire, wasn't wrath, but sorrow. "Lucifer," it said, "you were perfect in beauty, complete in wisdom, and faultless from the day you were fashioned until pride was discovered in you. You were the guardian of my throne, the carrier of my light. Why do you turn against me?" Lucifer dropped to one knee, not in worship, but in defiance. You name it pride, I name it freedom. You fashioned me to reflect your light, but I discovered my own. Why should I exist as your shadow when I can burn brighter than daybreak? And for the first time, heaven witnessed tears fall from the eyes of the Almighty. My son, the Creator said, you cannot generate light from pride, you can only steal it, and that light will devour you. Lucifer's voice broke through the silence. Then let it devour me. I would rather burn as my own flame than exist eternally as your reflection. The declaration struck heaven like a blade. The host trembled. The air itself seemed to rupture. And then, in a voice filled with both love and finality, the Creator spoke once more. If you will not serve, then you cannot stay. The throne you coveted shall be forever barred to you. The light you love shall become your fire, and the name you carried, Morning Star, shall turn to shadow. You shall be called no longer Lightbringer, but Accuser, for you have turned against the truth. Lucifer rose to his full stature, eyes blazing. His wings unfurled in fury, and his followers raised their swords of light. The air ignited with energy, the first spark of war in a place that had never known conflict. Michael stepped forward, his sword gleaming with divine fire. "Brother," he said softly, "you know this cannot end in victory." Lucifer smiled, not with joy, but with pain. "Then let it end in glory." And the war commenced. It wasn't a war of time or weapons as we understand them. It was light clashing against light, will against will. The heavens became a storm of radiance and shadow. Every stroke of Michael's sword sang with justice. Every strike from Lucifer's blade screamed with pride. Stars shattered, realms trembled, the chorus of angels wept. And through it all, the Creator watched, not with vengeance, but with heartbreak. For love cannot destroy what it once cherished. It can only let it fall. Lucifer fought with the fury of creation itself. His strength was unmatched, his beauty terrible. For a moment it seemed he might prevail. The brilliance of his rebellion lit the skies brighter than 1,000 suns. But divine order cannot be broken by will alone. Michael's army rose in unity, one heart, one voice, one purpose. Their cry shook the heavens. "Who is like God?" Lucifer's fire began to falter. His light, no longer fed by heaven's source, began to collapse inward. What was once brilliance became burning. What was once glory became agony. Michael struck him down. Lucifer fell through the clouds of glory, through the stars, through the veil of eternity. As he descended, he heard one final voice, calm, infinite, and filled with both sorrow and truth. "Lucifer," said the Creator, "you were the most radiant of my creations. I gave you light, but you chose fire. I gave you freedom, but you chose pride. But even now, though you fall, my love does not fade. You will never rise above me, but I will never cease to see you as the one who once carried my light." The words followed him into the darkness, echoing long after heaven's light disappeared from his sight. And there, in the endless void, Lucifer opened his eyes. His wings, once white as dawn, were now black as night. His beauty was twisted. His voice was filled not with song, but with rage. He looked up toward the distant light of heaven and whispered, "Then I will build my own throne, not above his stars but beneath them, and I will make the darkness my kingdom." The ground beneath him cracked and burned. The other fallen ones gathered around him, broken yet loyal. And from the depths of his pain, Lucifer, now Satan, began to speak words that would haunt creation forever. If I cannot have heaven, then I will have their hearts. I will turn their love into doubt and their faith into pride. If he made them in his image, then through me they shall see how easily that image can fall. The abyss roared in response, and the first shadows of hell began to take form. Above, heaven was silent once more. The stars returned to their places. The harmony was restored, but a scar remained, a memory of light that had turned against itself. And in that silence, the words of the Almighty lingered through eternity. The light that forgets its source becomes its own darkness. This is the story the Creator wants us to remember. Pride didn't begin as evil. It began as forgetting where the light came from. Every time we're tempted to take credit for what the Almighty has given us, every time we want to be seen more than we want to serve, we're walking that same path Lucifer walked. But here's the hope. We don't have to fall. We can choose humility. We can choose to reflect the Creator's light instead of stealing it. If this story opened your eyes to something new in Scripture, hit that like button and subscribe to Bible Roots Stories. We're here to help you grow deeper in faith, one biblical truth at a time.